Hello and welcome back to our Orbiter 2016 video series. This is Tex again, and this will be part 6 in our rescue flight. So let's jump right over here. Just a brief recap, we were ordered to come up here in our XR2 with 2 Air Force crew members on board with our crew, and to essentially assess the state of the crew and the vessel of the newly developed XR5 that was up here in geosync orbit performing some experiments. It turned out after we spacewalked one of the Air Force crew members over there and docked with the vessel and sent the other Air Force crew member over there, they found out that the crew was all dead after a sudden loss of pressure. Also, they confirmed that there was a fuel leak. There was no main fuel remaining, very little RCS, and APU fuel was marginal at best, but there was enough LOX, so they didn't lose all of the LOX in that depressurization, but sadly the crew is dead. They did perish. So what we need to do now is send these 2 Air Force guys with their crew of 2, a very skeleton crew, and get that XR5 back down to Edwards Air Force Base. That's what we're going to do in this part. Let's go ahead and jump into the cockpit. We're in the XR2. Let's get this thing ready for undocking. Turn the APU on. We can turn the nav lights off. Close the outer door. Okay. Turn the APU off. So our XR2 is going to hang out up here in geosync orbit for a little while. Okay, we have alarms. Let's cancel those. Again, let's turn the APU on here in the XR5 now. Turn the beacon on. Close the outer door. Close the bay doors. Speed time up while those transition. Okay, let's undock. Control D. And let's stow the docking port. Alright, APU is off. Take a look outside. As we pull away from the XR2 there. Alright guys, hang out. We will see you guys later. Let's get down here. Let's turn on the orbit HUD. Let's go to linear RCS. And let's translate away from the XR2 just a bit. That'll work.
Rotation.
Alright, now let's go down here and take a look. There was LOX on board, but there's only 2 crew members here. We don't need 68 days worth of LOX. Let's dump that and we'll just keep about a day on board.
Dump. Warning, LOX dump. Warning, LOX dump. Warning, oxygen system low. Warning, LOX dump. Warning, LOX dump.
Okay, that will work. Let's go back up here. Let's jump into the glass cockpit and let's start getting things ready to go for re-entry. First of all, according to burn time MFD, the fuel that the XR2 gave to us here, we only have about 2,371 kilometers per second in delta V. We're going to use most of that just doing our deorbit burn. If we take a look at, here's the orbit MFD. But if we take a look at the map MFD, you can see that in our geosync orbit here, we're orbiting about the same velocity as the Earth is rotating. So we're staying in one general region, which means that we're not going to get a solution to Edwards over here until we lower our altitude so that we are then orbiting faster than the Earth. But we don't have a lot of fuel to do orbital maneuvers up here. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and bring our altitude down into the atmosphere, and then we'll use the atmosphere to both get in line with the base and you know, brake in time for the base. We may end up having to glide for a while, but we'll make it work. Let's go back to orbit over here, and I'm going to use interplanetary MFD to calculate our deorbit burn. The map program is a bit more accurate. Okay, so that's set. I'll watch periapsis here. We're going to do a retrograde burn. Let's orient the vessel retrograde. We'll save a little fuel instead of just clicking the retrograde autopilot. Bring it around ourselves here. Okay, and retrograde is on. Alright, so we're burning with our main engines.
Warning, main fuel low.
Main fuel low.
System
Control W
reset.
resets that alarm. So again, let's watch periapsis here, and let's be careful not to overshoot it since we don't have a lot of fuel to play with. Alright, and I'll finish it off with
Translation.
linear RCS when we get close. So I'm shooting for 70 kilometers. Essentially what we're going to do is just hang out at around 70 kilometers in the atmosphere until we get closer to the base before we actually perform our traditional re-entry. Okay, so we're under 1,000 kilometers, pulling back on the throttle. Alright, let's finish that off with linear RCS. Oh, that's probably good enough. Okay. We have a little time. I'll just put a little rotational spin there and speed time up. We'll get around and face the planet as we coast down to our periapsis. Okay. I'll hop outside and enjoy the view while we coast down here. Looks like we're going to be just skirting Antarctica there. Very cool. Nice orbital sunset. Alright, let's start getting things ready to go for re-entry here. Alright, over here I'm going to open the base sync MFD. And of course we need to target Edwards. And let's change our orbit to 1. So we're only interested in this first orbit. So we're missing it by 2,312 kilometers. That's quite a lot. But I think we can close that down in the atmosphere. Alright, let's hop over into this panel view. And let's open load. And set that up. You and I. Load, okay. Actually, let me go back over here very quickly. Let's also open glide slope. I'm just going to use it for the hack program once we get there. So let's set it to Edwards. And let's see which runway. Yeah, I think that's the one that I want. Okay. Alright, so that's set. Go to the hack program. Alright, so that's done. Alright, let's go back to orbit here. And let's also go ahead and transfer all of our fuel from the main tank into the RCS tank. That will be of more use to us during re-entry. Of course, I'm going to try and do a dead stick landing, but I'm not as comfortable in the XR5 as I am the XR2. And it's fairly challenging to land dead stick, sort of like the space shuttle. So if we have any fuel left in the RCS tank once we're about to land, I'll transfer it back over to the main tank just in case we need a little burst of speed, but hopefully it won't come to that. Okay, so everything looks good here.
Warning.
Okay, re-entry check is green except for the radiator. Of course, we'll wait till the last minute to put that up. Let's get our attitude hold set up. We're not going to use the autopilot initially, but I want to go ahead and get it set up. We'll set it to a fairly high AOA, 50 degrees. Oh, you know what? Okay, yeah. So AOA, 50 degrees, bank 0, good. Okay. Alright, and let's open some external MFDs. So I'll do aero brake on this side. And I'm not going to be very interested actually in aero brake's initial predictions until we're ready to activate the attitude hold autopilot and actually re-enter. Initially what we're going to do is sort of like an aero capture maneuver. Okay, so that's done, and then let's do surface over here because that one's going to be crucial for monitoring our vertical speed, because at this velocity it's really easy to skip out of the atmosphere. It's also really easy to burn up. So alright, let's go to surface. Alright, we're just going to coast down to about 110 kilometers in entry interface and start thinking about putting up the radiator. Also, let's take a look. It's telling me I would have to burn anti-normal to bring this off-plane distance down. So that means if we're in the atmosphere flying straight and level, right side up, we would have to turn to the right. That would be anti-normal. So I think it's to the right, right? It is to the right, so we need to roll over the other direction. Alright, let's do that now before we get into the atmosphere. We'll go around this way. Alright, let's also go ahead and get our center of gravity set again, because I'm not going to use the autopilot. I'll use the center of gravity to help us turn, help us balance the ship up in the upper atmosphere. I'm just going to hang out around 70, 65-ish kilometers for a while, and then we'll glide, because we're going to have some distance to close. You can see where we are here, where our periapsis is, and where the base is over here. So alright, let's get down to 110 kilometers. Alright, almost to 110. There's 110. Let's turn the APU on and stow the radiator. It takes a bit longer to move on the XR5, so keep that in mind compared to the XR2. Want to make sure we get that put up before we get any amount of serious heat on the hull there. And the air molecules are starting to do something for us here. We're beginning to turn. And you can notice our off-plane distance is beginning to slowly come down. Alright, we can turn the APU off now. So once you set the center of gravity where you want it, you can turn the APU off and it'll stay there, but you won't be able to adjust it. You'll have to turn the APU on to adjust it. But by doing that, we'll save a lot of fuel, because we're 12,000 kilometers from the base at the moment, so we need to not only close that distance down, but of course we're turning over to the right to bring that off-plane distance down. Alright, so we're approaching our periapsis here shortly. Yeah, just give me a moment. I need to be laser focused on this vertical speed, so to ensure that we don't skip out of the atmosphere. Or burn up, for that matter. Alright, you can see our periapsis just coming up here on the surface MFD. We're definitely getting some heat there on the vehicle, but it shouldn't get too bad. Alright, I'm going to roll over just a bit more as we get close to that periapsis. Alright, our off-plane distance on the base income FD is just now dropped under 1,000 kilometers. Once it gets closer to 0, what I'll do is roll over inverted, and we're just going to glide inverted for a little while in the atmosphere. I say inverted because if we roll right side up, we're just going to end up climbing out of the atmosphere, and then we're going to skip out of the atmosphere because we still have a lot of velocity. You can see the orbit MFD, so if we end up skipping out of the atmosphere, we're going to end up coasting way up here, and then we'll have to do some kind of a burn over here to prevent crashing into the atmosphere on this side, and you know, we just don't have the fuel to be doing those things, so we need to be very conscious about our vertical speed here. Alright, so our off-plane distance has come down to 0, and now we've passed it, so we need to roll over the other direction and also just roll inverted. So let's bring our center of gravity down and let's roll over. Try not to descend or climb too much during this process. And then we'll find the balancing point on that center of gravity. Let's bring the nose up just a bit. So I'm just turning back over toward the base now. Alright, let's go with that. I'll turn the APU off. Alright, we're fairly balanced at the moment, so it's just going to be kind of a waiting game. So just hang in there. This video is going to obviously go over 30 minutes. It's just one of those things I can't speed time up very much. We'll try to speed time up here in just a bit, but right now we just need to coast for a while. We still have 9,100 kilometers to close to the base. Alright, so I'm descending a little bit. Just need to slow down a little bit, but not too much. And our off-plane distance has come down to 0 again, so we'll roll over the other direction now. You know, we still have a lot of velocity, so obviously we do need to slow down a bit, but we also want to hold on to a little bit of this velocity so we can make sure we glide the rest of this distance over to the base. Let me try adjusting the center of gravity real quick. Okay, I'm descending a little more than I would like here, so let's get the nose up. You can see we're getting warm there. Okay. Now we'll just hang out here, let the vessel cool off a little bit.
On.
Alright, so we're just under 7,000 kilometers to the base. I'm just going to slow down just a little bit more. Just doing a bit of an S-turn, if you will, just to slow down a bit. I want to scrub a little bit more of this velocity before we activate the attitude hold autopilot. So somewhere under 5,000 kilometers to the base, I'll start thinking about doing that. So I'm just going to scrub a little bit more of this velocity before that happens.
APU
Let's turn that
offline.
off.
climb. Mach 26.
Let's roll over the other direction one more time, and then we'll activate the attitude hold autopilot.
Mach 25. Mach 25.
Alright, so I'm going to get a little vertical speed, negative vertical speed, and then I'm going to activate the attitude hold autopilot. Okay, let's roll over and activate that.
Mach 24.
Oh man, I have that set wrong. That was stupid. Okay. Let's get that up before we skip out of the atmosphere.
Information. Mach APU 23. Fuel 30%.
Can't believe I had that set negative. Anyway, don't do that. Alright, so let's see. Looks like we're reasonably good. We sort of came up a bit here, but we're okay. We're coming back down. That's the danger of, you know, when you activate your attitude hold autopilot like that. You can bounce up out of the atmosphere. Alright, so now I'm going to start paying attention to our aero brake MFD over here, because this will become more accurate in our predictions, or this is giving me predictions that I'm interested in rather. So as I adjust my angle of attack, it'll tell us about how far we are from the base. So the base is indicated here in yellow, and the gray line here is indicating where we're going to essentially hit the ground. This is where we are here, coming down in our orbit. Center and zoom. Let me see that a little better. So, and of course the gray circle was the Earth. So when I adjust my angle of attack down, so when I reduce my angle of attack by pitching down, you'll notice that now it's bringing the gray line over to the yellow line. And that's what I want. I want to make sure that we manage our energy in such a way that we get over to the base. So I'll use the Alt key to adjust this by small amounts. And just get that right over there to the base. Our off-plane distance looks good. It's only 8 kilometers. It's coming down to 0. It'll probably hit 0 and then start counting up the other directions, so we'll just have to make small adjustments to our heading as needed. Okay, so that looks good. There's also this view, if we go page, and I believe projection, yeah. So this gives you a map view. It shows us where we are here over the Pacific, heading towards our base here. This is a zoomed in view. Here's the base right here in the center, and our trajectory taking us currently right here. So it tells us we're going to pass the base just a bit and to the right. So as the off-plane distance here comes down, it'll essentially move our trajectory over on top of the base, and then we can adjust where we're going to hit the ground here by adjusting our angle of attack up or down, pitching up or down, so that it pretty much just sits right on top of the base. This view is good because it gives you both your heading alignment to the base, your off-plane distance to the base, and your energy state so that you don't overshoot the base or fall short of the base. But I personally prefer to use this view, which this is really most useful for telling us our energy state. As long as we keep the gray line overlapped with the yellow line, then we're set to fall on the ground right at the base, if you will. But it requires you also monitor something like base sync, so you know what your off-plane distance is. Alright, so I'm just making adjustments to our angle of attack by 0.05 in order to make sure we manage our energy over to the base. Take a look outside. See, it's daytime now. We're over the Pacific. Alright. Let's just look at the glide slope real quick.
Mach 19.
Not really of any use for us there. So we'll leave that up. Don't need orbit anymore. Alright, and then again on glide slope here, this is telling us our distance to our delta azimuth, so the direction we need to turn to keep heading toward the hack. And I wonder if I can, let me see, zoom out and see. It's too far to see what hack we're flying. Oh, you know what? It says here left closed. We want to do left open. I believe that's the one we want. We'll find out when we get there. Okay, let's zoom in. Alright, we're gonna bank over to the right just a little bit. And that'll bring off-plane distance back down, because this little arrow here is telling us we need to turn to the right. So, alright. Falling short just of the base according to arrow brake, so we'll zoom in on that. Can fine tune this. Pitch down a bit more. So we are just now 2,000 kilometers from the base, so we still have some distance to close. I think I can probably safely time accelerate to like 2 times or something here.
Mach 16. Mach 15.
So I can pan down, at least you can see something. Not much to look at but the ocean, but I guess you can see the atmosphere there.
Mach 14.
You know what, the hack is taking us off to the right, and I forgot what hack we're flying. So I'm not going to pay attention to the delta azimuth on that actually right now. Right now I just want to focus on getting over to the base, and then I'll worry about that. So let's turn back over to the left and bring that off-plane distance down. Let's go back to this page. Okay.
Mach 12.
Alright, we are almost under 1,000 kilometers to the base. Yeah, our off-plane distance on the base sync MFD is coming down, but the hack, the delta azimuth on the hack is telling us to turn to the right. Again, I'm not sure what pattern it wants me to fly there, and I just don't know everything about the hack yet. I'm still learning that, so I would rather just get there with enough energy to make sure that we can land. And currently, actually, aero brake MFD was showing us coming up short, so I'm going to pitch down just a little bit more.
20%.
Okay, APU fuel 20%, it should be enough. And we will probably have a little bit of RCS left when we get there. We can transfer that over into the main tank in case we need it. Might save our landing if it comes down to that. Alright, so our off-plane distance came down to 0, and now it's going back up the other direction. So let's roll over this way. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and go back to 1 time speed. We're getting really close to the base now. We're 570 kilometers out. Should be just up ahead there. There's the coast of California. Okay, let's level off. Here we go, coasting in. Ground speed's 2,000 meters per second. I have to say the new terrain with Orbiter 2016 just looks amazing. I do love it. Very nice. Alright. Okay, I'm starting to be able to see the hack there. So it looks like that is what I wanted. I wanted left open. The question is my energy state. If I go out here like that, will I have enough energy? So I'm just going to keep heading toward the base, I think. And then we'll manage the hack when we get there. Alright, let's see. My off-plane distance is off by 4 kilometers. I think I need to turn to the right, or is it to the left? Let me take a look. To the left. Alright, we can look down again. Now you actually have something to look at there. Alright, so our energy state looks good on the aero brake MFD. Actually, I see the base just ahead there. Right there. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go in. So we do need to go in a little bit to the right for that hack approach. For left open is what it's set on. So we'll turn over there in just a bit. Let's get a little closer. Well, we already, let's see. Yeah, we can turn a little bit now, actually. And let's bring our pitch down just a little bit more, just to make sure we have enough energy. Yeah, we're not going to have much RCS fuel left. Not much to make a big difference on the main engines anyway. Okay, I think what we can do is we can ditch surface there and put it down here. We don't need base sync anymore. We'll keep aero brake up just a bit longer here. We're still really high up. We're still 42 kilometers up in the atmosphere, so we're going to be doing some descending here in a moment. Let me get the joystick over here ready to go. I guess we can take a look around. Wow, that looks so good. I haven't even flown to Edwards yet in Orbiter 2016. I know Martin was doing a lot of work around that area. It does look good. Oh, there's the base down there. It's really hard to see. Of course, we're still really high. Alright. Let's go ahead and scrub this last little bit of speed here. Alright, let's start following the hack. So we'll close this. And let's turn on AF control surfaces. And let's go over here because we're going to have to adjust the elevator trim. Disable the autopilot. Slowly bring the nose down. There we go. Alright, turn over to the hack here. Let's see, where's the base at? Okay, it's off here. Slow time down just for a minute. Figure out where the base is. Oh, there it is. Man, that thing is hard to see on the desert. Alright. So we're going to come into that runway, so we need to definitely get rid of some of this altitude here. Alright, let's deploy the speed brakes. Zoom out on the hack there. We're not going to be able to fly that hack. We're way too high up. Alright. I think we can use airflow control surfaces. Yes, we can. Let me hop over here real quick. Let me just slow time down again. Okay. I'm going to hop over here and let's transfer all of our fuel remaining into the main tank there. Okay. So we're basically right next to where the runway is. It's right there. Man, that is really hard to see. That runway. So I think what I'll do is I'll do a circle to the right and come around and land. Let me zoom out more on the hack there.
Subsonic.
Let's see. Can I make that? I can make that turn actually. I don't need to turn to the right. We'll just pass the hack and turn back over to it. So I'm a bit nervous about landing this XR5 dead stick because it's such a big vessel. I'm not as comfortable with it. Alright, let's see. There's the runway. I think we can make that. I guess we don't really need the hack anymore. I can close that. Alright, well here we go. Fingers crossed. Looks like we're 47 minutes on the video, so I was afraid of that. Man, that runway is so hard to see down there.
Information. APU fuel 10%.
Okay, APU fuel is down to 10%. That's more than enough to get us down to the ground here. And we have a little bit of fuel in the main tank if we need it. It's not very much, but it might be just enough to save us. Save a landing here. Alright, 5,000. Boy, this thing is... it handles a lot different than the XR2, that's for sure.
4,000. $3,000. $2,000. You are cleared to land.
Boy, our airspeed's getting pretty low there. I'm just gonna give a little bit of gas, a little bit of throttle. Okay, that's good. Going in for the short runway.
1,900.
Okay, we gotta get aligned here. This beast.
700.
Okay, gears going down. Boy, this beast, this wind is just really crosswind or something here. Let's get lined up.
400. 300. Warning, gear is up.
I thought I put the gear down.
200.
I guess I accidentally
Gear
tapped
is
it
up.
twice.
100. Gear down at
Oh lordy, that is not a level runway.
50.
Oh crap. Okay, this is gonna be interesting.
7. Wheels down.
Oh boy, that was...
Wheels up.
Okay, this is sketchy.
5. 1.
That's not a
Wheels
level
down.
runway. Oh boy. Okay, let's see if we can stop this beast. Oh man, that's okay. This is
100 knots.
totally sketchy. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Stop. Oh lordy. Oh man. Okay, we're not stopping. Rolling down a hill here. Alright, there we go. I think we're stopping. Not quite. Oh man. Well, yeah. That's interesting. I haven't landed here before in Orbiter 2016, and that is definitely not a level runway. Interesting. Okay, well, it looks like at least we managed to land in one piece. Nothing broke. Wow. Alright, I guess Martin's doing some work on this area, so hopefully turn external cooling on. What's going on? Oh, because we're still considered we're rolling. Oh, no, our speed is... says we're stopped. It's interesting. Trying to shut everything down here, but there we go. Parking brakes on. Okay, now we should be able to turn on external cooling. There we go. Alright, yeah, I think Martin's doing some work on this area still. I guess it has something to do with the new terrain. The base needs to be certainly leveled for the runways. But we know we can get back to Cape Canaveral. We've landed there before, so... But that does look really cool in the background with the mountains. I do love it. This has been a lot of fun. It's been nerve-wracking, I have to say, because I'm not comfortable landing the XR5, but it's been a good challenge. So now we need to go ahead and end this part here, and the next part will bring the XR2 back to Cape Canaveral. Alright guys, listen, thank you very much for following as usual, and I look forward to completing the next part with you. So until then, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.